Hello friends, welcome to NewtonGATE Academy, where we make your dreams come true. Our today's topic is figures of speech. It is a very interesting topic and I hope you will be enjoying the class. So let's proceed with the topic figures of speech. Now, before beginning with the different types of figures of speech, let us see what is the meaning of figures of speech. So, basically, figures of speech comprises of a group of words or phrases which must be interpreted in the non-literal sense. Now, this sounds confusing, right? Don't worry, I will be explaining you. So, we know what are group of words, but we don't know what are phrases, isn't it? So, let us have an idea regarding what are phrases. Suppose if I say out the door. Now, this is an abstract idea, isn't it? We can think of that something is outside the door or someone is going outside the door, but we do not know exactly what is happening, isn't it? But now, if I say the children are going out the door, now this is a complete sentence, isn't it? So phrases are basically abstract ideas. They do not make complete sentences. Therefore, figures of speech are a group of words or phrases, and these must be interpreted in the non-literal sense. Now, what is non-literal sense? We must interpret it by going beyond the literal level. It will be clearer if we proceed to the next slide. So today we are going to discuss 5 types of figures of speech. They are simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. Now let us see the first kind of figures of speech, that is simile. Now what are similes? As you can see in the slide, that similes are comparisons between two subjects or two things by using the keywords like or as. So we make comparisons between two subjects by comparing any of their quality, any of their common quality. And the keywords that we use are like or as. Now let us look at a few examples. Busy as a bee, free as a bird, strong as an ox, sly as a fox. Yes, so you have seen how the keyword as has been used in all these examples where we are comparing the qualities like sly means cunning, or busy nature. So similarly, we are comparing the qualities of two different subjects by using the keyword as. Now moving on to the second kind of figures of speech. So the second kind of figure of speech is metaphor. Yes, so metaphor, it draws a comparison between two subjects which is very similar to similes. But in metaphor, you all must remember that we do not use the keywords like and as. And in metaphor, we simply state that one thing is another thing. But in simile, if you remember, we had discussed that we say one thing is like another. Okay, so let us look at a few examples. Time is money. So you all know that time and money both are very valuable, isn't it? So we are making a comparison between these two subjects and saying it as time is money. Rahul is a greedy pig. Here we are comparing the greediness, the greedy nature of Rahul as well as the pig. You are the apple of my eye. Similarly, in the third example also, here apple, we will not take it in the literal sense, but we will be interpreting the word beyond the literal level. Here, apple of my eye, it means that someone who is very close to our heart or someone whom we love very much. So now we proceed to the third kind of figure of speech, that is personification. So in the word personification, if you see, we have the word person, isn't it? And we all know that person means human beings. So personification refers to giving human qualities to animals or objects. Now let us look at a few examples. The stars winked at me. So you can see that winking is a human quality, isn't it? The stars do not wink at us. But here we are attributing a human quality to the stars, and this makes it an example of personification. The leaves danced their way through the lawn. The slices of bread jumped out of the toaster suddenly, scaring me. The flame of the candle danced in the dark. So now we proceed to the fourth kind of figure of speech, that is alliteration. So alliteration is a very interesting topic, isn't it? It is fun, see? Alliteration refers to the use of the same beginning consonant sound in a line or a verse. Verse, you know, we often use verse while we are writing a poetry, isn't it? Which comprises of a rhyming pattern. So, you can see an example here. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So, here the consonant P has been repeated several times in the sentence, and this makes it an example of alliteration. You can also think of alliterations while we practice tongue twisters, isn't it? If you think of a tongue twister, she sells seashells by the seashore. So in that tongue twister, we have the repetition of the consonant S, isn't it? Now let's look at a few more examples of alliteration. The terrible tiger tore the towel. Pals, the puppy pops popcorn. 4 fine fresh fish for you. So now we move on to the last kind of figure of speech, that is onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia, as you can see the word, we are pronouncing it as onomatopoeia, but you must carefully look at the spelling of onomatopoeia. While writing, you will be writing it as onomatopoeia. So please carefully read the spelling. Now, onomatopoeia is a word that imitates the sound that it represents. So, onomatopoeia has to do with the sounds. For example, splash. Now, whenever we have a splash of water or when the water is spilled over on the floor, we use the word splash. Next is pop. Whenever we are chewing a bubble gum and then we blow it and suddenly the bubble bursts, we can hear a pop sound. Third is the bang. Now, when can we hear the banging sound? If you remember, we can hear the banging sound when we bang the door or close the windows. So basically, splash, pop, bang, these all are examples of onomatopoeia. Now, let us look at a few examples of onomatopoeia. The wolf howled at the moon. The bacon and the egg sizzled on the pan. Now, why do we use figures of speech? First is, it adds beauty to the writing. Now, how does figures of speech add beauty to the write-up? If you think of an write-up, it will, without any figures of speech, it will appear very uninteresting, isn't it? But if you find a write-up with plenty of figures of speech, metaphors, similes, onomatopoeia and alliteration, it will be fun for the readers as well, isn't it? So the writing appeals to the readers and it adds beauty to the write-up by making it more and more interesting. The second point is that it adds emotional intensity. Now, figures of speech helps us to build an emotional connect with the reader and the writer. Okay, so we can easily connect with what the writer is about to tell us or how he wants us to connect with his writing. Now let us see if you have understood the figures of speech. So now I will have a series of poetry or poem for you, and you will have to recognize whether it is an example of a simile, a metaphor, personification, alliteration or onomatopoeia. So let's proceed. Your feet smell so bad, just like Limburger cheese, that I'm holding my nose tight between my two knees. So can you guess what is this poem an example of? Yes, I think you have guessed it correctly. Very good. It is an example of simile. And why is it so? Because here we are making a comparison between the feet and the Limburger cheese, and the quality being compared is their bad smell. Crack an egg, stir the butter, break the yolk, make it flutter, stoke the heat, hear it sizzle, shake the salt just a drizzle. So I think you all have guessed it correctly, since it is very easy and it's very funny as well, isn't it? So you are absolutely correct. It is an example of onomatopoeia. And why is it so? Because here we are having the sounds of cracking, stirring, breaking, fluttering, stoking, sizzling, shaking and drizzling. The night is a big black cat, the moon is her topaz eye, the stars are the mice she hunts at night in the fields of the sultry sky. Now who will tell me what kind of figure of speech has been used in this poem? Yes, my dear, you are correct. So the figure of speech used here is the metaphor. And why is it so? Because here we are simply stating that one thing is another thing, like the night is a big black cat. So we are stating that the night is a big black cat, the moon is her topaz eye, and the stars are the mice. So this is an example of a metaphor, and also you must remember that there is an absence of the keywords like or as of the simile. So this makes it an example of a metaphor. Slithery, slidery, scaly old snake, surely your body must be a mistake. Your eyes, mouth and tongue wisely stay on your head. It seems that your body is all tail instead. So this is again a very easy poem, and I think all of you got it correct. So this is an example of an alliteration. Yes, my dear, you all are correct. So here you can see that there is a repetition of the consonant S several times in the poem. Slithery, slidery, scaly old snake. So this makes it an example of alliteration. So I think you all have understood the topic figures of speech, And if you liked the video, please do like, subscribe and share our channel NewtonGATE Academy. Till then, stay fine and have a good day.